Welcome back to our second half of Medoscopy. As viewers know, one regular feature of our program is a sort of show and tell. This is where guests bring in something, could be a book, could be a photograph, who knows what. But it's important to them in some way. It says something about who they are and what they're about. Okay, what did everybody bring? Betsy, we'll start with you.
I brought a Bible that was given to me by a coworker many years ago, and she really brought me into her life, her family, and her church family at a time when I was very new here and didn't have any family myself. And I think it just, for me, it really is like a small representation of how I feel about mercy, which is it is a cross section of work, family, and faith. And I think this represents that well.
That's very well summed up. I like that. Work, family, and faith. So very good. Kathy?
Okay. I brought pictures. My personality is a very giving and loving, and I care about a lot of things, the little things in life, the animals. If I see someone walking down the street, I stop to help them, even if I don't know them. It's me. And I think I got this from my parents, especially my father. He was a fireman, and he was very helpful. I remember when I was a child, he would go across the street to the neighbor and give her insulin shot every day. He would go to work early so the men could go home and be with their families. And they were just supported my brother and his family a lot. And we grew up with not much, but we grew up with a lot of love and our neighborhood. You could not go out and do anything wrong because within a 5-6 block radius, someone knew you, and they were going to tell your parents, and they were going to know before you got home. So everyone was always looking out for one another and helping one another. Unfortunately, my mother passed away before I got married. I was 22 when she passed. So at 23, I got married, and this wonderful woman came into my life, my mother-in-law, which I love dearly. Unfortunately, she passed away, but she was like a mother to me. I never called her mom, but in my heart, she was my second mother. And she volunteered a lot down Lucas Point at all the churches, all the time volunteering. It doesn't matter what church, the German church, Catholic church, all of them. She volunteered all of them. And she was just a very giving person also. And she came over and helped when I worked at night. She stayed the week at my house, where she slept there, and then she'd go home during the day and then come back. But she did that so my husband could go to work, and so she really helped make my life very easy. And it's just it. So I just love them all dearly. And they made me, they just kept it in me. Okay.
Sheila?
I also brought pictures. I don't know if I can lay them out here. One of the things that the main goal of the parishes, the twinning programs with the parishes in Haiti, were to feed the children so that they could have a meal while they were at school during the day. Sometimes that's the only meal they would get during the day. So this is just a picture of some of the I don't know where I'm supposed to hold it. Some of the children. This is one of my favorite pictures from Haiti. This is me with one of the little ones, and it just I pray for this little girl every day, that because of the way the country is right now. This gentleman is a success story that I am so proud of. His name is Samuel, and 2 families from the parish that I was at paid for him to go to high school, paid for him to go to college. He is now in PR in Haiti. He is working, and he just last week sent me this, which is his invitation for his wedding next week. After he sent it, he realized that I couldn't read it, so then he translated it for me into English. But it's beautiful, and I'm so proud of Samuel. And I guess the other thing is my heart, my grandchildren. These are my youngest daughter's children, and my oldest daughter's children, and he is getting ready to have a baby sister any day now. So I'm glad I could be here and not, well, actually I would have been glad to be there with a baby at this point, but she is 38 weeks today. So
Oh, wow.
Wow.
so
Congratulations.
those are definitely where my heart lies.
Well, it's interesting because I think all of your items connect to family, either direct or indirect, friends and family. And I'd say the vast majority of our guests, it's the same thing. The things that have the most importance to them represent some element of their family, something for their parents, or grandparents, or maybe it was some family friend who was such a huge influence on them. But it always comes down to people, sort of the thing that is the most important thing. So that's wonderful. So talking about the Spirit Awards, the Mercy Spirit Awards reflect the core values of dignity, hospitality, excellence, justice, stewardship, and prayer. Now, of these values, which ones stand out most for you?
I'd have to say, what was the second one?
Hospitality.
Hospitality and justice.
And why is that?
Well, I think hospitality because everyone should be treated correctly. And helping people is a thing I think to do. To turn your head on someone in need is wrong. So, and justice, there's just not enough of it.
Mm.
People are not treated fairly. And I just think there needs to be more. Is that what you mean by justice?
I think so. So,
There's just things that, according to where you're from, who you are, what you have, you're judged, and it's not fair.
Sheila, how about you?
I think I would say dignity and justice go together. If you treat people with dignity that everybody deserves, then justice will prevail behind it. Because I think that's yes, as Kathy said, we definitely have a justice issue in going on in particular now. And I think that if people could treat people with more dignity, then maybe that justice issue would even out a little bit.
Personally, when you're telling these stories about justice and dignity and justice, I mentioned before we got started, I do some community theater, and I got to participate in a stage dramatic reading of a didactic play about Susan B. Anthony, because there was a time that she basically went to court to assert her right under the Constitution to be given the right to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to portray the attorney who represented her. And I think, particularly when you were saying about dignity and justice being connected, very much so. And you mentioned we're seeing a lot of issues today, but it seems to be part of the human condition.
Mm-hmm.
You go back to the 1800s and so forth, and then when early 1900s, when this was an issue whether women should have the right to vote, it has to do with them being granted the dignity as a human being, to have the equality to be able to vote. But also there's definitely a sense of what's just, as well. So some good values here. What about you, Betsy?
Yeah, dignity was one of mine as well. I think everybody deserves to be treated with kindness and respect, and to work in a hospital where you run into people in the parking lot or in the elevators, and to keep in mind that this person is fighting a battle that you know nothing about. They're at a hospital. They might be coming in for surgery. They might have just got a breast cancer diagnosis. They may be here with a family member who's ill. They might be having a baby. There's just, it's so important to remember that you're dealing with people, and it's not about you. And I think excellence is the other one that I would have chose off the list. And I feel like maybe it's partly because of the department that I'm in, but always doing your best, always, every single day, trying to raise the bar and make sure that that you yourself and those around you are holding each other up and trying to just maintain high standards, I think is really important, especially, in a place like Mercy.
Do you all feel that you're making an effort to integrate these values into your own work and your lives? And why is that important, do you think?
It's important to me because if I don't, then I don't carry guilt well. And if I saw somebody, like I said, needing something, or if there's something I could do, or if I hurt someone intentionally, things like that, I wouldn't be able to, I don't carry the guilt well, and it bothers me. So I
I don't understand.
I think they're all the values that Mercy has. I think they're values that if we all, as human beings, would work within those values every day, everywhere we went, the world would be a different place.
definitely.
So I love that Mercy. I feel like Mercy doesn't just say it, but actually, the
Lives
people
it.
at Mercy actually live it out. They live their values.
Yeah, I think it goes back to purpose. Why are we here?
Mhm.
I mean, for a paycheck, sure. Yeah, we all want to get paid. We all have bills. But, what makes working at Mercy better than working at any other place? And it's that sense of purpose. It's that belief that we're here to make a difference. And if you aren't living the Mercy values, you can't be doing that. So,
And it definitely comes from the Sisters of Mercy. The way you just described it, it's like, that's why I think the sisters are able to do what they do for as long as they do it, having that sense of purpose, having a set of values in which to base their lives on, and to make that part of their day-to-day life. I mean, it is their day-to-day life. And it comes from the top down. The sisters are
and they
they're
do
the
a
head.
lot to keep everybody else engaged and to remind everybody of what the mission is and why we're here. So I think it's really helpful to always have those different events and reminders that they do, and then we can pass that along.
Well, Betsy, Kathy, Sheila, I'd like to thank you for your time and your candor. I'm hoping our viewers enjoyed this chance to hear your stories, maybe learned a thing or two about you, Mercy, and the values that underpin everything that we do here at Mercy Medical Center.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. On behalf of myself, our guests, the Mercy staff, and the Sisters of Mercy, we wish you good health and humor. And until we gather again, may the road rise up to meet you.